Hey, what's up, y'all? Um, I don't know who this is for, but you know, things are different now. A lot of things are different, but definitely those of you who are athletes out there, the game has changed, and a lot of you are still operating on the old formula, and that formula is no longer there, right? Like you think you're going off to go to college on some type of scholarship. Meanwhile, they're cutting those programs, right? So if there's nothing to go to, what is the actual plan? We know that you used to have a plan. We know that you were able to say, oh, well, I'm getting recruited and so on and so forth. But the point is for me is even with that, it's dealing with something else that requires someone else to allow you to do something. And when you deal with team sports in particular, you have your basketball, baseball, football, you know, versus your golf, your tennis and stuff like that, where it's just the individual, it's your individual effort and your individual marks that can make you. When you're in these team sports, you get sorry ass coaches. There's sorry ass scouts. There's great coaches. There's good scouts. There's good owners, so on and so forth. But I don't think enough is talked about that. I think that everyone thinks that because at their school they're such and such and everyone values them at that space and place and time, and it's like, who are you compared to the nation? Who are you compared to the state? Who are you compared to the world? When you're talking about going on and moving on in a sport, is that sport available? Are you going to be good at it? There's and then most of all, it's going to end, right? A lot of people um, want to hold on to things at a lower level, like senior year in high school, blah, 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 blah. Stuff that, cool, you're going to have some good memories on it. And those of the people that you spent that time in that time and place and space, you'll be able to reminisce with. And hopefully, it could be some bad memories, it could be some good memories, but it's going to be a minor part of your life, and so I just want to say that right now, during COVID pandemic or whatever we want to say, things have changed. There's seasons were canceled even at the collegiate level. There was no track. um, Stuff will probably continue to be canceled. People, schools are faking like they're having a season and, talking about games. Oh, this week's game is canceled. This week's game is canceled. So on and so forth. So at these higher level where there's actual money at in the game, they're not playing. But all these lower levels are acting like it's like a professional level. And it's not, you know? And I think, parents, I think these are things that you guys need to have these discussions with your children instead of just acting like, stuff's just gonna move on and, oh, okay, yeah, like, hey, it's gonna be back to normal. Okay, what if this is the normal now, right? Yeah, you've invested all this time into something, but you should have also been investing time in something else as well, right? And so I think that right now, especially, if all things being normal, it would have been playoffs. So you're going to start looking at conference championships in terms of college football, basketball starting up, but it's just not the same. Like these sports at the higher level, college is a professional level. They're just calling the shit college just so they can keep bamboozling the parents and the athletes. But it's for entertainment, right? The schools, these facilities are making money on the parking lot. They're making money on the ticket sales. Generally during this time of year, which I'm sure they're going to come up with, oh, it's the bowl season and you're invited to the bowl, and they want the athlete and their family to come and support. They want the alumni to come out and support, and for you guys to spend the money. Now it's all about a TV thing. It's just about them getting the money off the athlete from the TV revenue. But at this lower level, you guys, coaches included, you guys need to talk to the athletes in terms of, especially at the lower level, because you guys are supposed to be there to give them tools to move on. I'm tired of these coaches that aren't doing anything for the player in terms of life. I don't give a damn about the sports. It's what kind of individuals are you creating in life, right? Like I had coaches, like coaches at Pop Warner level, like my coach in high school, Lombardi, and the staff. It was like guys. Most of the guys didn't go off to even play in college, but guys were able to go off as men for the tools that were being taught. You know, in in college, there was a lot of things that you learn just by being there, being around others that come from different places. It didn't matter. You were a student there, and that's what made you collectively be in the same boat as everybody else, aside from the sports. And that's going to be the majority of life that you're going to be in. It's not going to be this sport. You know, we see it all on television and all the big hype on it, and it's cool, but when you're actually in it, it's totally different than what it's looking like to everybody else, because it becomes your job, and it's not just some fantasy or some dream or something. But when you're at the lower level, everyone's talking about I dream. Just know that when you're dreaming of these sports and it's a team sport, it's not what they've been lying to you about and saying you could do anything that you set your mind to do. No, that's not it. And they need to stop saying that. There's a lot of gatekeepers that could be in the way of you getting there, when you get there, how long you stay, so on and so forth. It's not just your will. And, if it was that, you'd see a lot more. You wouldn't hear of first round bust, or you wouldn't hear of Tom Brady in the sixth round. But that's not talked about enough. It's always a talk about the athlete or someone like that. But it's like in in the business of professional sports, there's a lot of scouts that are idiots that don't know what they're doing. They just got the job from knowing somebody. However they got the job, they don't know what the hell they're doing. There's a lot of guys, there's a lot of people in life that have labels. They have labels and titles that sound cool, but it doesn't mean that they're good at their job. You know, for some of you guys that are leaving, football players that are getting ready to go to the NFL, this whole agent thing, the whole time, no one's probably told you anything about it. No one's, they really probably kept you away from it. Then all of a sudden school ends, and then they're like, hey, go get an agent. And no one ever showed you how to go get one. So most guys go get agents that can't help them with anything. They're just gonna facilitate their contract, which is the easiest thing to do. They can't help them. They can't tell them what the hell to bring to an all-star game. They can't tell them what to expect in camp and what to bring to camp, and or anything that's actually going to help them. But at the same time, if that's not what you hired them for, then it doesn't matter, because they're definitely not going to do it because they don't even know, right? But or they'll go off, and because said rapper has an agency, and it's cool. Like when I came out, I signed with Master P. Master P was about business, but it was all the knuckleheads that he had hired that were the agents that were happy to be working for Master P, right? Where me as the player, I'm like, I'm paying you. I don't give a damn about whoever's rapping or whatever. It's what are you doing for me, and what am I paying you for? Are you doing what I need you to do? And so I had to go in a different direction. Not at all because of Master P. Master P, actually, I wish he would start up an agency again, because everything that he talked about, and every time I was around him, it was about business, and he was teaching me something. It was just everybody else that was just happy with the label but didn't know what the hell they were doing. And I saw that at the at the highest level. I saw that at the NFL level. I mean, just with my situation, not being drafted and being labeled as tweener. I think a part has a combination to do with college and playing defensive end. But I'm a linebacker. I was a linebacker, but those conversations weren't spoken about. So I enter the NFL as this free agent label, And these labels, people try to make you move on in life. Just like when I got to college, it was this, oh, he's a walk-on. And people try to make the label that you arrived to the party at continue with you. And I was making sure that I got that up off me. It's like, hey, walk on, scholarship, whatever. What does that have to do when I line up in front and I'm balling right here and you're placing me in front of everybody? What does my label have to do with it? Right? And same thing in the pros. It's like first round picks. There's several first round picks to me that that were good, but I think that because of their label, they get to be deemed as if they're great, right? And there's obviously the publicized ones that are first round picks, and they call them busts, but it's like it's bad for the player because just because of their status, it didn't mean that they were supposed to be. But that's the assumption, is that they're supposed to be great. It's just no. That's where that team decided to bring them in and select them and pay them at. That's the pay grade that they're getting paid at. It doesn't mean that they're good. That's why I go in and that's why I go hard on the Dallas Cowboys. They always want to hype and this all this. We're going on 2021 and we're still calling them America's team for what? What championships have they gone? But that's how we are as a society. We just like saying the same thing. You know, they're two linebackers. One should have been a first round pick. One was. Did something in college 1 year. And then they're being deemed to be all these great guys, but then the team is last in rushing. How do you have 3 first round picks? One should have been hurt his knee. It ends up being a second round pick. Four first round pick linebackers on the field, and a team rushes for damn near 300 yards on you. You know, and it's things like that. But they're out there starting. They're out there with new contracts. But then they'll talk about somebody else, you know, as if, you know, but that's what it is and that's what you're getting into. But anyway, back to the whole thing. At the lower level, you parents, you coaches, what else? There's a new norm. I hate saying this new normal stuff, but when it comes to athletics right now, I've been talking to friends and I'm seeing what's going on. California is not even playing ball. And they think they're going to be playing when it turns to 2021. What if they don't fire ball up? What's the plan? What's the plan with all this training? And I'm saying this because I know that a lot of people are mentally and they're physically training. So what's going to go down to those individuals mentally when they're just doing all this training and there's no games? And there is no next, right? So you got to prepare yourself for that and prepare yourself for what's next, because at some point the dream is a reality. You know, you can't keep dreaming when you're already there. You know, you have to wake up and be in the reality. But that's it on my Mad Backer Talk. All right, peace and love.